Are you currently in Arizona?
Yes, I'm in Phoenix right now. Although I have studios in New York and Los Angeles, and in Mexico. So I kind of travel.
That's great.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's just start off with, who has been your greatest influence?
What?
Who's been your greatest influence?
Painting-wise, my greatest influence was my grandmother, she painted in the same circles as Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera in Mexico City. And she lived in a time when the Mexican Revolution was going on.
Wow.
So she was surrounded with free thinkers and a lot of innovative thinkers. And but also I grew up very, very conservative. So although I was influenced by the painters and she was influenced by them, I had a very conservative lifestyle. So anyway, she taught me how to paint, and that's my grandmother. And she taught me to paint at 2 years old, and I've been painting ever since.
And did your mom or dad or the rest of your family paint too?
My mother painted for a while in college, and my family, my immediate family, they're all creative people as well.
So you come from a creative family. Perfect.
I think I'm the one that took on the painting, as far as doing it for a living.
Mm-hmm. I saw on one of your bios that back in 2010, you created 10,000 paintings and 2,000 songs. What has that number jumped to now?
Well, when I was in college, we were surrounded by information and about painters and history of painters. And one of the things that really stuck with me was the fact that Picasso had painted 40,000 paintings in his lifetime. And I thought, oh my God, what a bastard, right? And
wow.
Just so much work. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna beat his record.
Ambitious.
So it's kind of started there, and I started working with Phoenix Art Press. It kind of was like a sweat house for artists in the U.S. in the 90s, and I learned a lot. So I'm not regretting anything about it, but it was really brutal, and it was like 9 hours a day of just painting. So it wasn't like slavery or anything, but you had to go to work. You had to go there and get your cup of coffee and start painting. So a lot of my paintings, I think when I left Phoenix Art Press 3 years later, I had painted a couple thousand paintings for them. And then it just continued. I just learned how to do things really quickly. And a lot of my paintings are actual sketches for paintings. But I consider them paintings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I consider them parts. So any kind of sketch or painting or anything that I do, I consider it part of the work, right? So it's not like I have, not many paintings. It's a lot of them are sketches. So the answer to your question is where is it at now? I have no idea.
Lost track.
I have no idea. Because I'm being brutally honest. I'm right now I'm painting at least a painting a day for auction houses, and that's how I make my living.
Wow.
And so I wake up and I have my cappuccino, and painting one painting versus 30 paintings is like, it's pure luxury, right? I consider myself super, super lucky that I can get up and just do what I love, So, I paid my dues,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
working
9 hours a day.
when I was young, working for the man, and then it just turned into something that I could do, right? Because like I've been doing it since I was 2 years old. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I feel very blessed in that, and then as far as the music goes, I started to do recordings when I was like 16, and I would just do recordings in my room with cassette tapes. And I was like, oh my God, if you put C and E and G and, you can make a song. So there I was like going off. And I looked at the music industry and I said, there's no way. There's no way that I'll make it. I mean, I had no delusions about it, It was too competitive. And so I said, okay, well, if I can't make it that way, then I'll just make them look at me. One day, they'll just have to look at me,
How did you discover a way for them to? How did you discover a way for them to look at you then?
Well, for a long time, I came to the realization you have to discover yourself. You're not going to get discovered. I mean, Hollywood is bankrupt. Like, they don't care. You have to discover yourself. And that is you have to get really brutally honest. And you have to do research, and you have to study the people that made it, and not just study their music, study their story. Most of their stories are freaking devastating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're devastating stories. They're stories with death and drugs and, major life-threatening diseases. And, I mean, it's not pretty. The music industry is horrible. I would say, no, don't do it. Become a doctor,
Uh-huh.
Or follow a lifestyle that is you're going to get a steady check. And they say the same thing for people that go to school for like being an actor.
Right.
They're like, basically, if you want to be an actor, that's fine. Just know that you're in, like, suicide rate number 1. You know what I mean? They tell people like this at school because it's so competitive and there's not a lot of money to be had for people that are not. I mean, it's depressing. I don't mean to be depressing here. But that's the point. The point is get super realistic. Get very real. And the people that get very real with their craft are the ones that succeed. And so I was doing music and I said, I'm just doing it, finally, I'm just doing it for myself. It's my own therapy. I'm doing my own songs. I'm getting a kick out of it. I like what I'm doing. It's my expression. If someone likes it, that's fine. If someone doesn't like it, that's fine. It just came down to self-expression. And then, 2 years ago, I got a hit song on the radio.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, what's that? Look at that cool little song, doing its thing.
Which song was that?
That song was called, what was that song called? Beggar.
Beggar. Okay.
And so it was really cool. I was like, wow, and everyone's kind of looking at me and paying attention to what is this girl doing? And then that song ended and we launched another song called Signal, and Signal went to top 20 in the charts. And so I'm like, wow. It's like, you get to this point where you've been doing it your whole life that you don't really care anymore. That point where you just do not give a shit anymore. That's when it happened.